dun. It's the Final Four. Dun, dun. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Squeeze the Juice. We are finally at the Final Four. This has been the most destructive March in recent memory, or even known to man. Evan, what's poppin'? Good to be back with you.
I mean, what is there left to say about this NCAA tournament, man? What a crazy Final Four that we have on store. No one predicted this. I mean, it's just crazy. I cannot believe that the Final Four is San Diego State, FAU, Miami, and UConn. Like, I had faith in UConn, obviously. They are my champion. They still are my champion. But Texas going down, K-State going down, Creighton going down. I thought all three of those teams, like if had all three won, I mean, at least you got some names in the Final Four. At least you got some, I'm not going to say like, you know, college basketball blue bloods or brands, but I mean.
More of an expectation.
I think there's some more recognizable faces, right? I mean, just what a weird Final Four this is. But that's kind of the beauty of it. You know, this is where people kind of irritate me when it comes to March Madness is they want all the upsets, right? Round one, round two, we want upsets galore. But then when it comes to the Final Four, they don't want upsets. They want people they know, they want players they know, they want coaches they know, they want teams they know. And when we get some upsets going into the Final Four, it's like, we don't want that. You can't have it both ways. Like, I'm more of a guy that likes the traditional, you know, I like to see some teams that have a little bit more on the line in terms of programs, right? Like, I like seeing a Duke in the Final Four. I do like seeing a Kentucky, a Michigan State.
North Carolina.
Putting my bias aside. You like to see those powerhouses in the Final Four because you like to root against them, honestly. Like, I like to see Duke lose on the biggest stage, right? Duke losing to Tennessee doesn't really do it for me. I like to see them do it at that next level. Unfortunately, that's not what we're going to get this year, but I don't mind because I think this is so fascinating. Like, I'm super excited for this Final Four.
I can't disagree with you because I'm on the same vibe as you because I do like the upsets first round, but like, you know, you got to have the guys that trickle in, but sometimes, you know, and most of the time it's the big dogs, you know, it's normally the 1 to 3 seeds that kind of take over. Probably years ago, I think there was like 3 1 seeds and like a 3 seed or something. I don't remember what year that was, but
I mean, last year was North Carolina, Duke, Kansas, and Villanova. Like, that's as blue blood as it gets. And I feel like this year is a little bit more intriguing, a little bit more fascinating, because when you have all the blue bloods, you know, combined into one Final Four, it's like, okay, well, you know, some team that I don't really like or that I, you know, despise even is going to win this thing. And well enough, Kansas won it all. So, you know, it was just at the end of the day, I was like, well, that's kind of
Kansas.
I hate Kansas. So for me, it was like, well, of course Kansas wins, and now I'm just gonna be, you know, sorry and upset about it. But no, I think this is awesome for college basketball. You like to see some teams that are fresh, new, fun. I mean, that's what college basketball is about. That's what March Madness is about. And it's about time a Final Four represents what we all want it to be, which is chaos.
And the people that disagree with that then don't enjoy March Madness because you ask, like you said, you ask for the upsets, and when they're given to you all the way through more than ever, they'll complain.
Right. I mean, how often do we have 2 5 seeds like in the Sweet 16, Elite 8? Like, it rarely happens, it feels like, where the 5 seed is like that team. We have 2 5 seeds in the Final Four. That's crazy. Everyone picks the 12 over the 5. Everyone likes that upset. It's honestly a bigger upset that the 2 5 seeds are here. Like, it's just crazy.
It's true.
It's crazy. And, you know, everyone's going to say, well, I'm not watching this year, right? I'm not watching. I don't know anyone. College basketball is just gone over the cliff, right? I disagree. I think this is great for the sport. I think you need these Cinderella stories to keep March Madness exciting. When it's just the dominant 1 seeds or the dominant, you know, top 3 seeds, whatever, or just the blue bloods making it to the Final Four, it just ends up becoming like the college football playoff.
That's what I was about to say. It's literally just like, okay, why bother to do the rest? Top 4 teams play, and then that's it.
Exactly. So I like this madness. I like the chaos, and it's refreshing.
I can't disagree with you. I can't disagree with you. I mean, when your highest seed's a 4 and your low seed's a 9,
It's
I mean,
nuts.
And that's the other thing. Yeah, you don't know names, but the intensity and like the surprising enjoyment and like pure like fundamentals and athleticism that all these teams are going to bring is gonna be more enjoyable than you think. Like if you've watched any kind of ball from especially FAU or UConn, they're playing different games right now, and it's working well.
Yeah, and the thing that I love about college basketball is it's imperfect, right? At the NBA level, everything is the same. Everyone plays pick and roll. Everyone does the same offense, same defense. It really comes down to execution. Like coaching in the NBA, just to me at least, and I'm not a basketball savant. I don't know. I mean, I do know the game, but it's not like I'm not Coach K or Popovich or Phil Jackson. I'm not a wizard of the game, but at the pro level, to me it comes down to execution. But at the college level, I think it's all about styles and all about schemes and how you match up versus another team. And that's what makes the games more entertaining to me. And that's what makes March so entertaining is you have a team like Miami, who not very good defensively.
That's true.
But exciting, energetic offense. And when they were down against Texas, double digits second half, that high tempo, that extreme pace that they play, it got them back into the game. And then they were able to get some stops down the stretch and score enough points to beat Texas, who is a much better basketball team than Miami. But because of the way Miami plays, they are able to stay in the game, claw their way back in, and find a way to win. And in the NBA, I just don't think you see that. It's more of who's got the best players, who's got the best team. Sorry. and more often than not, like that team is going to win.
100%.
And that's what makes college basketball more exciting for me. And it also makes betting that much more difficult because I was 1-3 picking the Sweet 16. I was just we don't want to talk about it. Disgusting performance by me. Justin, on the other hand, 3-1. So Justin coming through with his picks in the Sweet 16. Briefly here, Michigan State, K-State, overtime, one of the best college basketball games I've seen.
That was great.
Easily the best game of the tournament so far. I don't even think it's close. Unfortunately, my Spartans were on the losing end of it. It should have been Michigan State. I really have nothing left to say. I released a statement via all social media platforms. Don't call, don't text. I have nothing left to say. It's unfortunate, but you know what? Kansas State ended up losing anyway, so they didn't do anything with this win against Michigan State, but it was still a great game, and it was unfortunate for your boy Marquise Noel, Keontae Johnson, that they didn't end up advancing to the Final Four.
That is true. But in the first part of that statement, it was always the Wildcats. It was always Kansas State. That statement stretches from the beginning of college football season to now. It was always Kansas State.
I can't escape Kansas State. I cannot escape Kansas State. And the funny thing is, you didn't pick them in the Big 12 championship game against TCU.
The one game I didn't pick. The one game I didn't pick, they really popped off and did it.
That's what's funny to me is, of course, the one game you don't pick them and I do, they come through for me. And whenever I don't pick them, they always come through for you. So that was a nice win for you. Whatever. FAU Tennessee. This was so obvious. We should have bet money line because 5.5. It was never in doubt for me. I thought FAU was going to win this from the start. I just wanted to get that insurance with the 5.5. But Tennessee just. This is their forte. This is what they do. The second you think that they have a shot, they sweep the rug from underneath you and you fall flat on your face. You do not back Tennessee in the tournament. You do not back Rick Barnes in the tournament. Owls obviously going to the Final Four now, but this was obvious. Gonzaga, UCLA, we were both on the Bruins.
So unfortunate.
So unfortunate. I mean, UCLA could not score in the second half. They were up by 13 at halftime. I was like, Justin, this is a 2.5-point spread. We got this all day. And then they go on like a 12-minute stretch where they don't score in the second half, and I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. This is how this bet loses. And then they take the lead, right? They have this incredible 10-1 run in the final like minute or whatever. They take the lead, and then it's only upended by Julian Strother's, Chris Jenkins three-pointer, and Gonzaga advances to the Elite Eight, and the Bruins minus 2.5 do not cover the spread. Just unfortunate. Those injuries caught up to him. Jalen Clark, big time player, and defensively he brings so much to them. I think they needed his edge. They needed something. They needed somebody else because Hawkes wasn't hitting his shots. Campbell wasn't hitting his shots. They weren't really getting Bailey involved. They needed somebody else to step up. I think Clark could have been that guy. Unfortunately, the Bruins are out, and they were your dad's champion.
He was in defeat. He didn't know what to say. The very next day, the very next 2 days, he woke up strutting around wearing his Gonzaga shirt with pride.
Come on. Stop it. Stop
I
it.
am serious. The man turned like that, and I'm like, you wearing that is going to cause their downfall. And you know what? I was right.
Yes. We'll get to that in a second. And then the final game that we picked for the Sweet 16 was Xavier, Texas, and that spread, I got too cute. It tempted me. The way that the people were betting it and the way it was going down, I thought Xavier plus 4.5 was the right play. I apologize. It clearly wasn't. They couldn't get anything going offensively. And
It was
Texas,
shocking.
I mean, it's not like Texas was
All that
game, but Xavier just could not do anything offensively. And I was waiting for Sule Boom, who's been a terrific player all season long. I was waiting for him to do something. He did nothing, and it was just Nunge chucking up bricks. I was like, okay, this game is pointless. Texas is going to win this by 50. Felt like they did. Texas minus 4.5. Justin, great pick as always. You've been on college basketball. I mean, I know the record overall for me 6-16, and for you 8-12. I know it's not great, but it just feels like you got a better finger on the pulse of college hoops than me. At least when it comes to picking these individual games. In terms of the bracket, in terms of the champion, I'm not going to comment on that, but I'm looking.
It's okay.
I'm looking blank right now, and you can fill in that adjective as I have picked a certain team that is in the Final Four to win it all.
Mm-hmm.
We will not be speaking further on that, but a great Sweet 16, a great tournament so far. I don't really know what else there is left to say because it feels like everyone's already said it, but this has been the craziest tournament I think I've ever watched.
100%.
Hands down.
No disagreements there. I mean, the amount of upsets automatically starting with the second 16 over 1 seed ever. That sealed, like that locked it in as.
And what
already.
makes that upset crazier is FDU, Fairleigh Dickinson, they did not have a single guy that could guard Zach Edey. Like Zach Edey, if you want to talk about a mismatch nightmare in college basketball, it is a guy that's like 7'4". He's like 7'2", but
Yeah.
in shoes, in sneakers, let's give him a couple inches. Just a guy.
I think you might be right because I think he's like 7'1".
7'2" at least.
I think he's 7'1". They like marked him as normal height as 7'1".
Yeah, so a guy of that size and gifted offensively, like Zach Edey he's a gifted player.
Yeah.
There should be no one stopping him from getting the basketball, and FDU managed to do that. From that upset, which makes it even crazier because when you have a guy of Zach Edey's talent and size versus
A team that wasn't supposed to be there.
A small team, a very small team that wasn't even supposed to be there, like that's what makes the upset even crazier. FDU was in that game versus FAU too. Like, let's not get it twisted. FAU had to struggle to get that win, and now they're in the Final Four. It's crazy when you put it all together, just the kind of run that the Owls have been on in Boca Raton, too, of all places. I mean, that's the retirement home. Like, that's not really a party town. That's Boca Raton is where you're going to relax and enjoy your retirement.
Owls.
I mean, their arena, I think it holds like 5,000 people. It's like, this is a small school, a small team, and they're in the Final Four. It's crazy.
I read that I believe it was their coach. He, like a short couple weeks before the season was beginning, he thought about quitting his job.
And look where he is now.
Look at that.
You know what he's going to get to, right? After this is over, he's going to get a bag somewhere.
He could.
He's going to go to like the Big 12, SEC. He's going to one of the top conferences.
He could have cost himself.
Maybe the Big 10. Who knows? I would hate to see him in the Big 10.
I don't know where he'd go. Penn State locked up. What's his name?
That's true. That's true. But
Odom, right? Or no, it's not.
I forget. You are right though. They did
Penn State, the guy from VCU.
Yep,
and then Odom, I think, went from Utah State or whatever to VCU.
But there'll be an open job. I think he'll land nicely
SEC,
somewhere.
I could definitely see him in the Big 12. I don't know where, but
maybe Texas Tech.
Ooh,
because their coach name is escaping me, but he was on leave.
Oh yeah, and then
they didn't make the tournament this year, so there is
Oh yeah, well he also resigned.
Yeah, so there is an avenue there
because of his comments.
Yeah,
which I don't. That's a complicated. That's a complicated story.
Yeah, that was. I mean, I get whatever. Aside from that,
yeah,
just madness all around. But I want to talk to you about the San Diego State Creighton game because that last foul call. What are your thoughts on that? Because to me, and what I've heard from pundits in the media, like the more I watch the play and hear from people, the more I think less of it as a foul. But I want to hear your thoughts.
It's a tough argument when you look at the bigger picture, because you're talking when you're there's been a lot of games this year that those one fouls change everything. It's not just like, they called this earlier, but some, even especially obviously at the end of the game, but there's been different fouls throughout different games, especially almost referring back to that FDU Purdue game. There was literally two guys grabbing one of the FDU players, both hands. He lost the ball out of bounds, and it was Purdue ball, but they didn't call the foul, so they had to go Purdue ball. But I don't know, man. I don't know if I liked the call.
It's tough because here's my thing, and I'm going to credit Seth Greenberg of ESPN. I really like him as a college basketball personality. I think he always gives a wise, insightful take. He was kind of saying, in a normal setting, according to the rule book, that's a foul. Mm-hmm. But that game had the lowest amount of fouls called in the NCAA tournament. It was a physical game the entirety of the game. And for 39 minutes, or I should say 39 minutes and 50 seconds, they let the boys play. There was hardly any foul shots taken. Creighton's one of the best free throw shooting teams in the country. And you call that? Like, it was a very minor...
Compared to what could have easily been throughout the entire game.
It was a very minor hand check. I know the hand was on the hip, and it probably altered the shot, maybe.
But at that point in the game, after not calling anything, and that's going to change the game, why?
Exactly. At that point, when you haven't called anything similarly all game long, why are you calling that now? And I think that's where I think of it as less of a foul now. However, according to the rule book, it was a foul. So I'm not going to debate whether it was a foul or not, but I think in context of the game and circumstantially, yes, it probably should not have been called. And I do feel bad for Creighton because I root for them as a program. I like the Blue Jays.
They're cool.
Greg McDermott, he's a solid coach, but shout out San Diego State, man. I mean, that's a Mountain West school. Nobody ever really puts any faith in the Mountain West, and
they were only known for one man. Without him, no one would know who they really are.
Yeah, old Michigan coach Fisher.
Oh,
he was.
Well, that gets to two then.
Well, who are you gonna say? Kawhi,
yeah,
right? But and Coach Fisher, he was a Fab Five guy, Fab Five coach. Obviously, everyone knows that. Got him to Final Fours, national championship, but he really started San Diego State basketball as a program, and now head coach, I believe Buckner. he has elevated them to a Final Four team.
It's crazy.
And that team is senior led. They got a ton of experienced guys on the team.
That's huge. That's a huge difference so far in that tourney, in my opinion.
And truthfully, I know they don't play a sexy style of basketball, but they have a grit to them. They have a vibe, a mantra that is...
Get it done.
It's awesome to watch because no college basketball team loves to be the defensive juggernaut. Like, no one wants to be that ugly team. But San Diego State embraces that. And so I'm happy for them as a program. I'm happy for really a Mountain West school because they always struggle in the tournament. I mean, we see it time and time again. The Utah States and who's the other Mountain West team that was in it? The Boise State. Like,
Yeah.
those schools just always struggle.
Yeah, they may appear well, but
Exactly. So it was cool to see them get this far and to go even further. It's awesome to see. But I do feel bad for Creighton because I do like the Blue Jays as a program.
I was rooting for them too.
I was rooting for Creighton as just a casual observer of the game because obviously when you don't have any stake in it, really, it's like whoever wins wins. But no, I was happy to see San Diego State kind of overcome. Kind of just maybe just this thought that no one from out there can get it done. No one from the Mountain West can get it done, right?
It's true.
So that was cool to see. On the other side of the bracket, Miami.
Gross.
I mean, it's unfortunate for you. You're a big Texas guy, or you like your Longhorns. Maybe
Yeah,
not,
and
maybe not a big Texas guy.
I like, and during this college season, I was definitely a Longhorns fan.
And
I love their coach.
Yep, Coach Terry, he's a beast. I was actually kind of upset for him because you could tell in that post-game press conference how much this meant to him, how much the season meant to him. And that was another senior-led group. I mean, you're not going to have a lot of those guys in the locker room next year. And
Good thing is he got a 5-year deal.
he's secured now, and that was the right thing for Texas to do because he phenomenal job coaching that group. But where does Texas go from here? I don't know. This was really their best shot, probably
In a long time.
I want to say probably since Rick Barnes was there.
Wow.
Like,
I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. They always look like they got it going on, but they're first, second round bounce normally, and okay surviving in the Big 12. Like they haven't been dominant in the Big 12 in a while.
They have not been, but Jim Laurinaiga,
That
he
man
gets it done, man.
It gets under my skin.
I mean, it's crazy because it feels like every year, maybe not every year, but it feels like every year.
Often.
Miami's in the Sweet 16. They're in the Elite Eight, and you're like, how is Miami here right now? Like, this is not a basketball school. It is dominated by football. I mean, when you talk about everything that Miami spends on athletics, it goes to football. Like, they want to make the U the place to be.
If only they could play that way.
Right, and they never come through. But you know who does come through? Is Jim Laurinaiga and the Hurricane basketball program. Like, they are so much more successful in recent history than the football program and probably have,
25% less spending.
a tenth of the budget?
Yeah.
Like, it's nuts. It is nuts what Jim Laurinaiga has been able to do there. I wish he would go somewhere else, but he's 73. He's probably,
He's
a Hurricane
happy,
for life.
yeah.
He's happy.
And
he
he'll
loves
retire
Florida.
when he's-
Exactly.
Like
But-
Boeheim, 47,000 years.
But, gosh, I would love to see what he would have been able to do at an elite program. Like, I think more so towards the back end of his coaching career because it really feels like the past, I want to say 6 years, he has elevated that program. And so seeing him somewhere,
You think SEC, Big 12?
Big East, Big Ten,
Ooh, interesting.
like somewhere where they're known for basketball, they appreciate basketball, and they want to win
Take over Syracuse.
in basketball. Like, that's what I would have loved to see what Jim could have done then. But super happy for him and that Miami program. And they have a very fun matchup versus my UConn Huskies. I feel proud of myself that I was able to get them this far. Because I'm truly the only person that they can thank for them being in the Final Four. They did not play their way there. It was me. It was me. I just hope they know that.
Send them some merch.
They do. They do.
They owe you. They owe you
They
the
owe me.
merch.
They
They
owe
owe you
me.
tickets to the Final
Yes.
Four.
Yes. But No, I'm obviously super stoked to see UConn in the Final Four, but just the way they've been playing, I told you when we recorded last episode, ironically, said two teams that I feel like are the most dominant so far, Bama, UConn. Well, Bama got knocked out by SDSU, which is nuts, but
They choked.
facts. But nonetheless, UConn's been that team. They
have.
crushed Arkansas. They crushed Gonzaga. I don't know if they're going to crush Miami, but what a phenomenal brand of basketball Dan Hurley has the boys playing. I mean, when you have Hawkins and Snogo and Caravan and they just have so much going on. It's Calcaterra. They are so deep offensively and defensively, and they all fit together. They fit so beautifully, so well. It's almost too good. Like I'm almost getting too comfortable. So I gotta calm myself down. I gotta bring myself off the ledge because they still got some games to win. They still have some games to play. But UConn, Miami, SDSU, FAU, what a Final Four it's gonna be.
I'm rooting with you, man. I've since the Kemba Walker days. That's when I truly. I mean, I told you about that basketball story that I found. Like Grandpa had that
Yes.
old UConn ball. But yeah, because that's what intrigued me to find them, and then that's when Kemba Walker was popping off. So I've always been a slight fan of UConn. I mean, there's so like we've talked about it before, and you've said it. Like there's something about Husky basketball. There's just something about it. You're just like, I like this. You know, they got guys coming in. You're just like, I like these guys. They play ball well. They just know what they're doing. Like they want to win. They want to get it done. You know, it's crazy.
They're right there with like Michigan State and Villanova for me in terms of like the blue bloods. Like they're not the North Carolina, Kansas, Duke, Kentucky blue bloods, but they are
always active.
When they're good, they're really good, and you know they're good, and they perform well in March, and it's always a fun team to root for because you don't find yourself rooting for them that often.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're not this team that is year to year the best, right? Because when's the last time UConn basketball has been this good?
Shabazz.
Like the last Final Four they made was the Shabazz Napier year.
That was crazy.
Other than that, they really haven't done much, and so when they're in this spot, it's usually good results. However, that doesn't mean that it's a guarantee. That doesn't mean that anything is set in stone. But it's fun to see them here, and it's fun to kind of ride with them because they are such a. You're right. There's just something about UConn where it's fun to root for them.
Yeah, like you just don't. You're not just like I don't like these guys. Like
I don't know a single person that hates UConn basketball.
If they do, it's because they hate the women's team and REM,
which is nuts because
he's a legend.
He's awesome. He's like Nick Saban,
literally, and now he's catching
Saban,
the downfall.
Or you can hate Alabama, I think, but I feel like it's kind of hard to hate Nick Saban. Like I enjoy Nick Saban. His press conferences are awesome. He's always mad about something.
Yeah, he's that man. Hey, that man eats 2 oatmeal cream pies every morning for breakfast with his coffee. He knows what's up. He's living his best life.
But no, man, UConn's just awesome to see, and we're gonna have a great Final Four to watch. But we got to get some picks. All right, we have obviously 2 games, 2 fascinating games. So let's get to it. Alrighty, so the first national semifinal game, the first game that we played on Saturday, Florida Atlantic versus San Diego State. The Aztecs are -2.5. Justin, take it away. This is a weird game, a wacky game. No one thought this was coming. What are your initial thoughts on this game?
Straight up throwing it at me, right off the dome, I'd be like, okay, give me FAU +2.5. Because just the way they play ball, they're just so strategic. They're playing top level right now, in my opinion, aside from UConn. And they just got the guys to do it. They're playing end-to-end very well. Good coach who almost gave up on them, like we said before, but he did not. But it also is, for these teams, it's new territory, No one expected them here. How much fandom is going to follow them? Because, how many Florida Atlantic fans are just going to pour into Houston, High percent chance there would be way more San Diego State fans coming from the West Coast. That defense scares me, though. Like I mentioned before, I clowned them because I'm like, how did they win when dudes are fouling out with 5 or less points? But they get it done because defensively they win the game, and, they just overpower the other team.
It's tough for me because
It is.
San Diego State, you're right. Defensively,
It's such a concern.
it is ugly. The other team does not like to play the way that San Diego State plays. Like, it doesn't matter what team you are. There's only a few that come with the same defensive intensity that San Diego State brings. And the issue for Florida Atlantic is when I look at who they've played so far, you have Memphis, who, based on Ken Palm, they're better offensively than defensively. You look at Fairleigh Dickinson, come on.
They're just kind of there. Their speed, offensively, you'd say they're better, but the speed is what they got.
Right.
Speed was their weapon.
Right. Exactly. Okay, so then
San Diego State's slower.
you go to the Sweet 16. Tennessee, more of a defensive team, but offensively, they're dreadful. And we knew this going in. Tennessee cannot score. And then against Kansas State turned the ball, or Florida Atlantic turned the ball over 20-plus times and still won because Kansas State is as chaotic and hectic and careless as it comes. So when I look at who FAU has played, no one to me really stands out as a comparable. The only one that kind of relates is Tennessee, but I think the difference there is the Rick Barnes effect. That's what it comes down to for me. It's Tennessee's got better players than SDSU, but the mindset, the coaching, the way San Diego State is playing right now and the way they're being coached, it's impressive. When you knock down Bama, when you knock down Creighton, those were two teams that Ken Palm absolutely loved. Creighton is 12th and Bama is 4th, according to Ken Palm. 2 top 12 teams San Diego State knocked off. And it was by playing gritty, tough, defensive style basketball. I don't see FAU faring well against this San Diego State team, because no one wants to pick San Diego State. The public is leaning towards FAU. San Diego State's an ugly watch, and they don't play fun basketball.
But they know how to get it done.
But they're getting it done right now. And so I'm going to take the Aztecs with this one. And side note here, Matt Bradley, their leading scorer, he's been awful. He's been horrible in the NCAA tournament. You would like to see him rebound this game. He is due. He's been playing atrocious basketball. I'm not even kidding. 6 points against Bama and then 2 points against Creighton. It's been ugly.
And he probably fouled out, and they got it done. And they still get it done. And they know how to get it done.
So I'm gonna take the Aztecs. I think everyone kind of wants to see FAU because
it's cool.
if you're, let me rephrase that. If you are paying attention to the Final Four, if you care about this Final Four, and you are a fan of college basketball, you do not want to see San Diego State in the championship game because they are such a horrible team to watch play basketball. It is not fun at all. They are the complete opposite, the antithesis of Golden State Warriors basketball.
Big word.
Fun, energy, having, 3-pointers, shots from half court. San Diego State does not do that at all.
They're grind and pound it in the inside.
They're like a good old Rex Ryan ground and pound Jets team where it is 3 yards in a cloud of dust.
Some butt fumbles,
That's San Diego State. So I like the Aztecs in the spot, man. I do. I think FAU is a nice story, but how often does the 9 seed really get this far?
Never.
And it's not even about the seeding because FAU has the most wins in college basketball. They got 35 wins. They're a great team, but I think sometimes
they have the best winning percentage in tournament history.
I just think sometimes the
buck stops.
The buck stops here. So give me San Diego State, man.
San Diego State is playing like it's the NBA before the 3-point line.
Oh, yeah. We're talking rookie Jerry West.
Yeah, no hook shots yet, no Kareem. This is Jerry just chucking it up and getting it done. Him versus, what's his name?
Bill Russell.
What's
that
his
era
name?
of basketball.
I'm thinking of the point guard from the Celtics. Bob Cousy.
Yep.
Love that man. My favorite player is Larry Bird, but
Old Pistol Pete.
Pistol Pete Maravich, man.
No, that's so true.
He's
San Diego State
classic.
is such a throwback style basketball. Like everything is so like fast paced and having space and doing things where you're putting your ball handlers in these wide open situations to make plays happen, to kick it out to shooters. San Diego State it's like a black hole and collapsing on you. It's interesting. It's just not exciting or entertaining.
It's like the good old, hey, let's, it literally is like the ground and pound football. It's like, let's wear them down.
Exactly.
Just punch it through. We're just going to body them, and we're just going to milk this game through.
It's kind of like Michigan football,
Yeah, literally. I mean, literally.
Or Iowa or Michigan football.
Probably Iowa. I mean, I know Michigan's ground and pound, but I mean, Iowa, they're getting it done, scoring 6 points a game. You know what I'm saying?
That is literally it. San Diego State is Iowa football, except they're winning.
And they're getting as many fouls as Iowa scores points.
That is facts. So
I'm with you on the Aztecs, though.
All right.
I know I was talking earlier about Florida Atlantic, but something in the air isn't right.
Doesn't it just feel like the Aztecs are going to win this one?
Yeah, because everyone's going to be like, FAU, let's hype it up. And San Diego State's just going to go, all right, bounce.
There's something about
foul.
Exactly.
Bounce, foul, and they're win by 9.
There's something about picking the ugly duckling here.
Speaking of ugly ducklings, Miami Hurricanes.
Well, they are the next game, so we're both on the Aztecs minus 2.5. Let's get to Miami, UConn, the later of the two games. Miami, not getting much love from the public because UConn is a minus 5.5 point favorite here. You know how I feel about the 5.5 points. That's a scary number, but here's the thing: I've seen UConn blow past teams when they're favored by 9.5, when they're favored by 4.5, 3.5, 2.5. For me, I don't care what the spread is.
Ooh.
I'm taking UConn minus 5.5. I'm putting my money where my mouth is. I already have.
Money line?
No, not money line. Not money line because I'm confident in the points. I'm going to take UConn. It's as simple as that. They are the better team. I love Dan Hurley as a coach. He has this energy and this angry face that I love. Jordan Hawkins is sensational. I think he is a late lotto pick at worst. Great size, great shot. Still needs to work on his game, but in terms of like a two guard, he's got a lot of. He's got some Bradley Beal in his game that I like. Like not as polished as Beal coming out of college, but he's got that same kind of vibe. That two guard that can play off the dribble, catch and shoot, work well with a guard that's a little bit more ball dominant.
Take it to the hole.
I like Jordan Hawkins a lot, and then we've talked about it. Sanogo.
He's just everywhere.
I mean, Miami. Here's the thing. I'm gonna let you get to it. Miami defensively is not good. They're horrible. They're one of the worst defensive teams in the country.
True.
And at some point, I feel like that hurts them. It ends their season. Like I think they've gotten this far admirably with the way that they play defensively, but they've been able to stay in these games because their offense has kept them in, and the way that they play, the fast pace, push, score, get back transition, like that's how they've been playing, and it's been working. But I think at some point that comes to a grinding stop, and I think it comes to a grinding stop against the Huskies. I'll let you take it away because you know where my heart's at. You know where my head's at. It's UConn minus 5.5.
Have you heard the stories about how they have like the three of UConn's players are Muslim, and they're focused on Ramadan and how they eat and everything. You hear about how their fast is supposed to end like 10 minutes before the game on Saturday. That's crazy to me. But they've been playing like this for the whole tournament. Like, yeah, they may have longer time period to like eat or break their fast or whatever. But obviously, at that point in time, water is more important. So it's like they'll have enough time to have what they need, and they can get any kind of liquids they need. But
they'll get some oranges in them.
Yeah, probably just have a fruit or so, and then some water, and they'll be all right. But
yeah, I'm not too concerned.
Even at halftime, they could just be like, oh.
Yeah, the halftimes usually are a little bit longer in college anyway. Have a little snack break, be ready to go for the second half.
Yeah, I just found that interesting. But
No, it is for sure.
unbiased statements against Miami. They like we talked about. They've gotten here. They've gotten to not here to the Final Four, but they've gotten to the Sweet 16. They've gotten to the Elite Eight, and they end up not getting it. Now they get to the Final Four. Is it a hill they can overcome, or is this just a new stop at the end of the road? A lot of questions. They had to come back extremely from the past game. And I'm shocked they did that because, again, these 5 seeds pulling off these upsets as the bigger dogs become the choke artists. So, are you that good? No. Did you make it to the Final Four? Yes. Are you probably, based on strategy and everything going on right now, are you probably the worst of the 4 teams? Yes. I don't see them winning this game. Now, covering, that is an interesting question. Something about it gives me that garbage where, they're up 6. Here's a trash 3, and they know they lost, right? Or like trash free throws, right? Is that kind of situation? But I have faith in the Huskies. They're too good. And not in a cocky way. They're playing smart basketball at the right time, end to end, and there's no questions about it. And they got the right coach to do the job. Shout out the man. Shout out to Rhode Island, the original roots of his growth and legacy. But I'm on the Huskies, man. I mean, again, no bias either. Like how it is. Like they're the better team, and I get we question the scary numbers, right?
Yep.
But when it comes to UConn in this tournament, numbers are irrelevant. Numbers are completely irrelevant.
Yeah. No, I'm not gonna say I hate to agree because I'm right there with you.
After the Gonzaga game, I'm like, holy crap! Like, I was like about to go to bed, and I'm like, all right, let me check on the score, right? Because I was like tired that day, and I'm like, oh my gosh, my dad's gonna lose his freaking mind in the morning because he put that shirt back on, and that's what he did to himself.
He earned that.
He did.
He earned that. Well, when you look at all right, let's break it down who Miami has, who UConn has. I look at Miami's team, they got some dogs like Isaiah Wong, Nigel Pack, Jordan Miller, Norchad Omier.
I know Wong's good.
Wong and Pack are great. Miller had a fantastic performance against Texas. He didn't miss a shot. He was phenomenal. But UConn matches up well with all of them. UConn can guard 1 to 5. And the big Norchad Omier transfer, okay, let's say him and Sonogo even each other out, right? Mm-hmm. Is Norchad Omier going to play 40 minutes? If he gets in foul trouble, UConn has a 7-footer in Donovan Clingan off the bench.
You ain't touching that.
So, even if Sonogo and Norchad Omier cancel each other out, at some point he's going to have to take a seat on the bench, and you're going to have either Sonogo or Clingan come in and dominate down low. And the only way Miami really can stay in this game is if they shoot the lights out. They're going to have the best shooting performance of the tournament because while UConn can hit their threes, Miami's they're just going to have to literally outpace UConn and score in incredible bunches because defensively Miami doesn't really stand a chance. So the only way they're going to win this game is by outshooting them and basically trading 2s for 3s. I mean, that's kind of the way it has to go. And it's a tough draw. It's a tough draw. I think Miami got lucky that Dylan Dessou, Texas's big man, he was off to a phenomenal start. He was unfortunately unable to play in that Elite Eight matchup, and I think he would have made a huge difference because while Norchad Omier was in foul trouble, you could tell that Texas was lacking size.
Yeah,
you could tell they were lacking size,
100%.
And without Dessou, they didn't really have an answer for Omier, and
It's
not
an
that
issue.
Exactly, and not that it was not that it was like a massive game down low, but Miami wasn't really shooting the ball that much from outside in the first half, but they still had 37 points.
Just crazy.
Like they only shot, I think, 2 threes. I think they made 2 threes in the first half. They were like 2 for 5. Texas, they were shooting threes lights out. So it's just the avenue for victory to me is blockaded by a ton of obstacles for Miami. And I don't want to, jinx myself here. So I'm not going to. But that's just the way I'm feeling. Now, if Miami does it, well, then I'm going to be a really sad boy. And so be it. That's the way life goes. That's gambling. That's betting. And,
I'm going to put everything I got on
Say
the
la
winner
vie.
of the FAU SDSU game then.
But no, I think SDSU, UConn, confidently, I think I'm a little bit more confident in SDSU just because I'm like terrified of what could happen if UConn doesn't pull through. But those are our picks. SDSU and UConn. We're both on the same teams.
I think SDSU would trigger Miami so much if they played in the championship game.
Oh, I would
they'd be
hammer
like,
SDSU.
They'd be like, okay, we got this. Got to play smart ball. And then they're like, they feel like they're walking through like mud when they're playing. They're just like, what?
No, I
Like,
would hammer.
dribble.
I would
That'd be the
hammer
slowest
SDSU.
game in the history of basketball. Miami versus SDSU.
It is crazy. That would be such a crazy matchup.
I feel like if that
you have the
yeah.
slowest team versus one of the fastest teams,
It'd
and
be
they're
so
going
annoying.
head to head. That'd be unreal.
They just get beat down. Miami would just be like, oh, we're trapped in a hurricane. They
No,
trap themselves.
It is nuts. But Justin, if our picks are correct here, and it is San Diego State versus Connecticut, the early line on that is UConn minus 4.5. And if it was FAU versus UConn, it'd be UConn minus 6.5. If you want to see the alternative, where it's Miami versus San Diego State would be favored by 0.5 point, so basically a pick 'em. And then on the flip side, FAU and Miami would be favored by 1.5. So some interesting early numbers to start. I think those could definitely change significantly depending on how these teams perform.
I would not want to see FAU Miami.
Oh, God, no. That'd be...
I think that's the worst
I
option.
would not be watching. And just because I'd be devastated for one, but...
Everyone in
the fact
Florida
that-
would be in Texas.
The fact that Florida Atlantic and Miami would be playing for the national championship game just makes me sick. Because that could have been MSU. That'll make me more sick than anything else. But no, it's fine. I'm over it now. I've had some time to digest the loss. And we are on to the Final Four.
Crazy. That would have been... even though, like, more often than not, I'm so just, like, I'm so against Michigan State in so many ways. I know with this show, I've been more respectable in, like, choices and whatnot. But, like, that would be, I think that if they played Miami in the national championship game, I think that'd be the first time I've ever been, like, truly, truly rooting for a Spartan ever. Like, and I'd be like, please, Miami, don't win this thing, dude.
If we were playing Miami for the national championship game and we lost, I don't know what I would do. I would lose my mind because
ban yourself from Miami.
I'm telling you, Miami. I mean, I've been to Miami and
It ain't all that.
no, it's really not. Ocean Drive, shout out 305, but
Pitbull's the reason you like people like Miami, man.
gee, it's an interesting place. It's a very interesting place,
There's nothing like that Miami Heat.
and I can tell you, I can assure you, Boca Raton is probably much nicer than Miami.
It's where all the millionaires live.
So I'd be rooting heavily for FAU, but man, it would disgust me if Michigan State was in that spot and they lost to Miami. I just wouldn't be able to live with myself.
You'd be like, okay, if they lost to UConn, I can
Right.
I can
If
be
they
okay
lost to a
with
team that I can respect a little bit, like, I'm sorry, but Miami? Jim Larnaga? I love Jim Larnaga, but Come on.
Would you rather have them lose to San Diego State than lose to Miami in the final? Ooh.
MSU?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Because
So
I
they-
respect SDSU as a program. Like, the thing is, I respect Laurinega as a coach,
But not Miami as
but
a program.
that program, because they don't
Just pay.
they don't emphasize it.
They just got money, and they don't care. Miami as a school just has money, and they just don't care about just football, and the football is the worst at the school.
Right.
Worst sport.
Right.
I don't know. It's chaos.
But there you have it. One more time, SDSU -2.5, UConn -5.5. We're both on the favorites this game, or these games, which make me a little concerned, but that's okay, because I think we're on the right side of it. And I'm confident when I say this is going to be a crazy Final Four, and I think we're going to enjoy the results of these matchups, or at least I hope we can enjoy the results after the games conclude. But do you have anything left to say? I mean, we got a lot in the chamber loading for Squeeze the Juice.
Yeah, we got some big things coming up. You know, as March Madness comes to an end, we'll have a complete shift next week into the content that's coming out for the next little 1 week. You guys will see that when it comes out, and then back into the mentality of NFL.
Yes, it is
draft.
crazy. This episode will come out Friday, probably, or Saturday.
This
Friday
one-
or Saturday.
This comes out April 1st. Ha!
So it'll be
You
April.
fools.
So it'll be April when you guys hear this. So that gives us less than a month away from the NFL draft. I mean, we already are at that point, but really, the NFL draft, when you guys hear this, will be
4 weeks from today as we're filming.
yes. So it is really coming down to the wire here. I mean, we'll have the Masters, and then right after that, I mean, we're less than 3 weeks away, and we got stuff to get to
Absolutely.
because
NBA playoffs are starting.
the odds for these, picks, they're changing and they're interesting. They're fascinating.
They're falling.
I want to get to them at some point, and we will once we get our mock draft in. And I think you let the pro days happen, and then you kind of get into like the
real talk.
just the mystery season, the gray area, the build up to the draft, the lead up to the draft, where all the pro days are done, and it's just teams stewing, and everyone's just waiting, and you're like, what's gonna happen? Like I remember last year, because I bet on Kayvon Thibodeau to go to the Lions at 2. I put some money on him, and at first it was like, Hutchinson favored to go number 1 overall. Then it was Trayvon Walker at 2. Thibodeau was like, favored after that.
3 or 4, yeah.
But then the odds started to shift. Then Trayvon Walker jolts to 1. And then Hutch is favored at 2. But then you get a little closer now. Here's Thibodeau. He's right behind Hutch. And then as the draft, like basically the day of the draft, okay, now it's started to separate. And you're like, okay. But it was fun to go on with that ride. And I did the same thing with the Pistons and Jane Ivey. I put some money down on Jane Ivey to go 5th overall. And what do you know? He went to the Pistons at 5 because I had a feeling the Kings were going to Kings and take Keegan Murray, who's been a nice player for them.
He's been playing best rookie shooting three-point shooter.
Yeah, and he's been great. Kings are in the playoffs, light the beam. It's been phenomenal. It's the first time since 06-07.
Ending longest playoff drought by any.
16 years.
Yeah.
It's finally over.
And now who's in first place? Who's taking over that rank? Do you know? What team has now officially taken over the longest playoff drought?
Oh my gosh.
Do you want me to give you the sport?
Yes.
NFL.
The Jets.
Yes.
Boom.
That could easily be broken. Could have been broken last year. Could be broken this year. We don't know. They're in the right spot, though. That's the thing. And we're not like looking at them like, oh God, it's going to be another. This is going to be a long time.
We'll see.
Yeah, exactly. We will see. That's true. Everyone's coming together, but will Aaron Rodgers be on the move to New York? That's another effect on draft day. We don't know what that could be.
I mean, everyone thought Rodgers was going to get done against the Lions, and they were going to be in the playoffs. And
Kirby Joseph said no.
yeah, so, I mean, I don't think it's a given that the Jets just make the playoffs because Rodgers goes there. I mean, they got a great team, and I like their head coach, Robert Saleh, but come on. Nothing is given. Nothing is been decided yet. We're still in April. We still got a draft to complete.
Especially with that AFC East, man.
And it's a tough division. I mean, Miami's good, Buffalo's good, and New England.
They're not where they want to be, but they're moving in the right direction now. With Patricia moving on,
we will
got to bring some right people in. It'll be all right. The defense is okay there. We need another receiver or two.
We will see.
Our boys.
Thing is, New England is not a gimme. They're not a gimme.
Just like they used to be.
Just because they might be the worst team in the AFC East next year does not mean they're a gimme. They are not the Colts. They're not the Texans. They're not the Bears. They are going to be a tough team to play against.
Because they're always they're average or better. They're not below average.
Right. But that'll all be figured out soon enough. First off, we got to get to the draft, and we're going to have talks about maybe a live draft.
Oh, yeah? Discussions.
During the draft, I think we should have a live stream of some sort, live reactions to the picks.
Round one.
Round one, yes. Not the entire draft, but the first round. It's a big draft for the Lions.
We're going to live stream all for like 5 hours. Or we could live stream, we could do the first 10 picks or something.
Yeah, something like that. Something just like initial live reaction to the picks.
Yeah, we could watch it and have our live reaction.
Right. So that'll be fun. But no, we first got to get to the draft, our mock draft 2.0. We'll have odds for you then because they are interesting. I mean, I don't want to spoil, but I did see today Will Anderson was favored to go number 3 overall, I believe.
That's
now
so
it is Mr. Anthony Richardson. It changed today.
To the Cardinals? Or do you think trade up? Someone trades
I think
up?
Vegas is telling you maybe someone will trade up to 3 to take
Who
Anthony
would
Richardson.
trade, though? Vegas? They got Jimmy G. I don't think they're going to do it.
Dark horse, and I'm going to say I doubt it. But to me, I think Baltimore is a serious candidate to make a crazy move like that. Just based on the whole Lamar situation, if the Ravens want to go and get their guy, I don't see them hesitating to make the move up. Now, 3 might be a little rich.
For Rich?
For a Rich, that might be a little, because they're at 22. So moving up 19 spots, they're going to give a ton.
Give up Lamar. Dump Kyler. Big brains.
I mean, but that's the thing. If a team decides to accept Lamar, if they can trade Lamar, they'll have the capital to go and get their guy. And maybe it is a Rich. We don't know.
That's true.
But, let's say the Colts gave him 4 for Lamar.
I think that'd be stupid
I mean,
if they did that. I think the dumb thing is when people say, yo, the Colts are going to trade up to 3 from 4 to the Cardinals. I'm like, y'all are crazy.
well, if the Colts don't like Levis or Anthony Richardson and Lamar's sitting there, I don't see why not. I mean, I don't like Lamar.
I don't think he fits the Colts, though.
I don't either, but if the Colts are desperate for a quarterback, I think Lamar's the guy. But that doesn't mean that they're going to do it. I'm just saying, if that's who they think is the guy, they should be in the market for Lamar Jackson. But ultimately, I think they do end up taking a quarterback. It's all going to play itself out, right? But the Baltimore Ravens, to me, feel like a team that, Anthony Richardson will basically slide in, kind of replacing Lamar.
Literally.
You're not paying him the same money you'd be paying Lamar, and you're probably getting capital on top of that. So it makes sense from, I guess, a financial standpoint.
And a progressive now standpoint for the team because you're clearly moving past Lamar, but you're also not saying A. Rich will be better, but you have a guy that can actually throw the ball. Not saying Lamar can't, but the potential of what you'd if Lamar could throw really well, the potential ceiling of A. Rich would be crazy if it matched that in the same one. Because they're same guy, just A. Rich can throw so much better.
100%. It just feels like the Ravens are done with Lamar. I know they can say that they want to keep Lamar and they're working to keep Lamar, and Harbaugh can go out and say, we love Lamar. I love Lamar, right? I just don't see where this relationship goes from here because Lamar wants a trade. He apparently requested a March 2nd. The Ravens don't want to pay him what he wants to be paid.
They already offered him a bag before the season.
At some point, it just comes to an end. And it feels to me Lamar either sits out this entire year or the Ravens trade him to another team. I don't see how this situation is resolved between Baltimore and Lamar without them splitting and separating. It just feels like the marriage is over. It's done. And that's okay because, honestly, Baltimore is probably saving themselves they are probably doing so much saving. Like, they are... I'm the biggest Lamar hater. Like, and I cannot stress how massive this would be for Baltimore if they were able to get off Lamar Jackson. I cannot stress.
The Ravens are cool, man.
It would be unreal. Like, if I was a Ravens fan, I would be so happy. Like, if I was living in Baltimore, Maryland right now, I'd be ecstatic if Lamar was not on my team tomorrow. I'd be thrilled.
They could use money to whatever money they do have. You know, you don't got to pay Rich, and think about you put more guys around him. There's so much more upside. You don't got to pay. You don't got to pay him for a couple of years, and if he turns into what people think he can, I mean, imagine.
Right.
Imagine that, because people love Flacco. People are like, Lamar is just so much more athletic, and people like him more. But like,
fun.
Flacco was the pocket passer, and he was smart with it. Like Big Ben. Big Ben wasn't running around going crazy. He just knew how to play the ball.
He's fun. Lamar's fun, but I don't think he wins. But that's all going to sort itself out. We got so much time to talk about this. I cannot wait. But Mock Draft 2.0 is coming. Masters is coming. We got so much to talk about and more. But first, we got the Final Four. It's going to be a great weekend of college hoops, hopefully. And we'll see. Maybe we win you some money. Maybe we don't. But
it's all fun and games.
If a team does blank, then you will win some.
Guy's covering his butt,
nice. You'll be nice.
It's okay. Well, thank you for watching or listening. Another episode of Squeeze the Juice. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. You know the deal.
Yes, Twitter is absolutely
this
buzzing.
Man is active as can
STJ
be.
is buzzing on Twitter, having some fun. And truthfully, we need more engagement. We need more people engaging with us, and it comes via Twitter. It comes via the comment section. I want to see it. We want to hear it, and let's have some fun, man. It's about time. It's about time we got some people involved.
Get active.
Yes.
Get active. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, turn on those post notifications, give us a thumbs up, and that, my friends, is a like. Drop some comments. That's the interaction. Let us know what you love, what you don't, your picks. Evan wants to know if he's hitting all winners this week, in your opinion.
Yeah, I do.
We don't want to get too much into it with this week, but
No.
more will come later on. But yeah, big things coming. Fun April ahead. Lots going on. The summer's coming. The summer is coming, and there may not be as much sports as you think, but we'll be bringing more to you. We will see you next week on Squeeze the Juice.
Peace.
Peace.